Today we're going to look at subtracting integers. We're going to think of them just like we did with adding integers and looking at the different terms. So when you are subtracting your integers, the first thing you're definitely going to want to do is circle those terms. So if I'm looking at number 1, I'm going to not look at that as 8. I'm going to look at it as a positive 8. So I'm going to circle that term. I'm not going to look at the 14 as just 14. I'm not going to say it's going to be minus 14. I'm going to look at it as negative 14. So when we do this, when we think about these values as just terms as opposed to subtracting and taking away or something like that, we're going to look at it actually as putting them together. So we're going to look at it as having a positive 8, so 8 positive chips, and then 14 negative chips. So when we put these together, we're going to be left, that 8 positive is going to cancel out 8 of the negative chips. So we're going to be left with 6 negative chips. So if you actually do 8 minus 14, or you look at the number line, you start at 8, you jump down to negative, or jump down 14 places, you're going to land on negative 6. So if you put 8 and a negative 14 together, that's going to create negative 6. So in number 2, again, we're not looking at it as subtraction, because that symbol, this symbol right here, can mean either subtraction or negative or the opposite. So we're going to look at them as terms and putting terms together. So in number 2, the first term I see is negative 27. The second term I see, that I kind of wrote right through, is negative 13. So when I look at a negative 27 and a negative 13, and I want to put those two terms together, I have 27 negatives and then another 13 negatives. That is going to give me a total of 40 negatives. So we're putting terms together. Same thing's going to happen in number 3. You'll notice it's a little different now. You see those two negatives together. So first term is going to be the same. It's going to be a positive 31 that I have right there. Second term, I'm going to look at this and I have minus negative 12. Or you can think of it as being negative 12. So anytime you have double negative, it actually creates a positive value. Because think about it, it's like, what is the opposite of a negative? Well, that's the positive. So this in actuality is going to be 31 plus 12. Okay, so because the first term is a positive 31, the second term is negative 12, which becomes a positive 12. So it's a 31 plus a 12, which is going to give you 43. Okay, and then the last type that we have is a negative minus another negative. So again, circle your terms and put them together. First term I see is a negative 10. Second term I see is that negative 16. Negative 16 means, what is the opposite of negative 16? Well, that's going to be that positive. Anytime you got those double negatives, it creates that one big plus sign. So in actuality, when you are putting these two terms together, you have a negative 10, positive 16. You're going to be left with a positive 4. Because 10 negatives are going to cancel out 10 of those positives. And when I said 4, yeah, it's a positive 6. Yeah, because 10 negatives is going to cancel out 10 of those positives, and you're left with 6 positives left over because it's 16. So the last one, you can apply all this to a word problem then. The temperature is negative 3 degrees. If the temperature drops an additional 8 degrees, what is the new temperature? Okay, so the first piece I see is this, stating that the temperature is at negative 3 degrees. When you talk about a temperature dropping, it's going down, which means it is dropping down that number line another 8 degrees. So what is your new temperature? Okay, well, we're going to circle our terms here. So I have a negative 3, and I have that negative 8. Okay, I don't have a negative 3 minus 8. I have that negative 3, negative 8. I'm going to put my two terms together. So 3 negatives and then another 8 negatives is going to give me 11 negative degrees. So our new temperature is negative 11 degrees. So when subtracting integers, circle your terms and put your terms together. Don't think of it as minus. Think of it as being that negative 14 or that negative 12 or that negative 8 that falls in the back, and just put those two terms together.